Hello church family, welcome to day 3 of our week of prayer. This morning it's my chance to encourage you in our topic, which is about spiritual inheritance today. So really thinking about praying into what it means to kind of lay hold of God's promises for us, cross over into new things for us as individuals, but also for us as a church. It's probably a really timely thing for us right now with all the stuff that we're exploring and stepping out into. So I've got another devotional, just the same format as we've had so far with Gordon reading, and then I'm going to share a few thoughts about stepping into our inheritance and what that means, and some things we can maybe pull out of the example of the Israelites crossing the Jordan. So the title of the devotional that I'm going to read is "We Too Shall Cross the Jordan," and there's a quote from Isaiah 43 which says, "When you walk through fire, you will not be burned, for I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Saviour." That's Isaiah 43, verse 2-3. So I'll read it again. When you walk through fire, you will not be burned, for I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Saviour. The Ark of the Covenant led the people of God across the Jordan. The priests and the Levites halted, and the waters, as though out of reverence to the ministers of God, stopped flowing. They piled up in a single mass, thus allowing the people of God to cross in safety. As a Christian, you should not be amazed to hear of these wonders performed for the people of the past. The divine word promises much greater and more lofty things to you who have passed through Jordan's stream by the sacrament of baptism. He promises you a passage even through the sky. 1 Thessalonians 4:17 says, "We shall be caught up in the clouds to meet Christ in heaven, and so we shall always be with the Lord." So you must not think that these events belong only to the past, and that you who now hear the account of them do not experience anything like them. It is in you that they find all their spiritual fulfillment. You have recently abandoned the darkness of idolatry, and you now desire to come and hear the divine law. This is your departure from Egypt. When you became a believer and began to obey the laws of the church, you passed through the Red Sea. Now, at the various stops in the desert, you give time every day to hear the law of God and to see the face of Moses unveiled by the glory of God. But once you come to the baptismal font and are initiated into those sacred and venerable mysteries, you will cross the Jordan and enter the promised land. There Moses will hand you over to Jesus, and he himself will be your guide on your new journey. So when we're thinking about this amazing story of the Israelites crossing the Jordan and how that happened, all of that stuff is true for you, it's true for me, it's true for us as brothers and sisters in the same church family of Hope Church Sittingbourne. And so we want to be focusing our prayers today on what that means and how we can really take hold of those things. I looked back at Joshua. I've been reading Joshua, following on from the Sunday preachers that we've had about being strong and courageous. So I kind of read the account of the Israelites crossing the Jordan quite recently. So I was able to go back and pull out some of the things which struck me then. But I encourage you to go away and read Joshua 3 and 4, the whole full account. I haven't got time in this video, but there's just a few kind of things that as the devotional was saying, we apply that to us. It wasn't just for the Israelites. So Joshua 3 verse 4, Joshua and the priests are encouraging the people to follow the Ark of the Covenant. And they say, you will know which way to go. They also say, don't get too close. But they say, follow the Ark and you will know the way. And so for us as a church, when we're stepping out, if we're close to Jesus, if we're walking close with him, if our hearts are aligned with the Spirit, we are going to know the way to go. We're not just making blind decisions, hoping, feeling around in the dark. We're following the Lord's presence, the Lord's guide in our lives as individuals and in our lives as a church. Verse 5 of Joshua 3 says to consecrate yourself. So there's links with what Adam was talking about on Sunday. There's a challenge there to take this seriously. to not just kind of go with the flow, go along with what everyone else is saying, but actually consecrating yourself, like we were thinking about day one, bringing, recommitting our hearts to the Lord and making sure that we are prepared and we are ready for whatever this new journey and whatever this new adventure is going to be. Verse 10 is talking about how what's going to happen is really going to show the Israelites who God is. And what it says is, you will know that I am the living God among you. Verse 15 and 17 I like, because it just speaks of how insane this miracle was. And we often talk about the crossing of the Red Sea and the Exodus from Egypt, but the crossing of the Jordan is something that we speak about less, I think, in church generally, but it's got real significance. And then verse 15 says, now the Jordan is full at the flood stage of harvest. Yet, as soon as the priests who carried the ark reached the edge, the waters from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap a great distance away. Even though it's harvest time, the water stopped. And so we just get this sense of like, even though all the odds are stacked against it, even though this is what God did, he made a way. And the last thing that I just wanted to pull out is later on in chapter 4, they build a pile of stones to remember what God has done. And there's a couple of times when it talks about the reason for that being so that when your children ask you one day, or when in the future your descendants ask you about this pile of stones, you'll be able to tell them about what God did. When they say, what do these stones mean? Tell them, Israel crossed the Jordan on dry land, for the Lord your God dried up the Jordan before you until they had crossed over. And then in verse 24, he did this so that all people of the earth might know that the hand of the Lord is powerful, and so that you might always fear the Lord your God. I don't know about you, but I want to be able to tell my children, our descendants, I want to be able to speak about in the future. I want to be able to go back and speak about, this is what God did. Like, what does that mean? what's this photo of? What's that record all about? Like, what's this diary entry that somebody's written? I want history to speak of what God has done. And I want to be a part of that. And I want to be able to tell people about that. And I want it to stir my heart to always know that he is the Lord Almighty, and to always, so that I might always fear the Lord my God. And I'd encourage you to join me in that, pray into that, and get really excited about crossing the Jordan into this new thing, this new spiritual inheritance that I 100% believe God's taken us somewhere new. God bless you. Sorry it's longer than it should have been, but yeah, have a brilliant day just praying into that and getting excited about crossing the Jordan. Bye.